Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. As always, I'm Dave, and it's such a delight to have you here in my kitchen today. And today we have a request. My friend Steve here in New Jersey has been eating the lox that I've been making and kind of wants to try it himself. So today we're going to talk about how to cure salmon. Let's check it out. All right. So when we're curing salmon, and we're not smoking it. We're doing a rub and refrigerator cure. So you need to start off obviously with a piece of salmon, and your store will have it. And you can do this with the skin on, or you can do this with the skin off. I'm going to do it with the skin off today, so I can show you how to get the skin off. But you can also ask your fishmonger to take care of that for you. But if you're a fisherman like me, you've probably got a fillet knife or two, and we're going to just give that a little bit. Just a little bit of a sharpen up. It's pretty sharp already, but before I try to cut the skin off this fish, I want to make sure that I have it the way I want it. Now remember, fish is slimy. It's going to smell like fish. I mean, it shouldn't smell bad. If it's bad, throw it out. That's bad fish. But it's still going to be kind of fishy, especially salmon because it's got a lot of oils in it. So you're going to want to plan. Once you get this thing off of the skin goes in the garbage, and then the fish goes on a plate, and then your hands get washed before we go on to any of the next stages, because you can definitely contaminate the rest of your work surface. So I'm left-handed, and I'm going to slice away from me this way. And we're going to get right to it here. I got to make a little incision, and I'm going to ignore my dog. And I'm going to lose a mouthful, but that's no big deal. Let me just a little closer to the edge. And I'm just trying to get along the skin line. And once I get far enough along, I can hold the skin and kind of pull it away from me. And it's just like that. And voila, there's your fillet. And, I've lost like a mouthful of salmon off of the skin. Really not that big a deal. I'm going to go ahead and take this, put it in the garbage, and wash my hands, and I'll be right back with you for the next step, which is going to be making our rub. Okay, our next step here is going to be making our rub. And the rub, to be able to cure this fish, is going to be mainly, you can do just going at this ratio, depending on how much fish you have. A half a cup of salt and a half a cup of brown sugar. You do that, that's going to make cured fish. And from there, it's whatever flavors you want to put into it. What I'm making today is a pastrami rub, because one of my favorite ways to eat lox is pastrami lox. And I'm going to shout them out because the fish is so good there. I've always gotten that from Sable's in New York City. They do deliver, so look them up. But, it's expensive to get that shipped to me or to drive up to New York to get it myself. So I said, I like cooking things. Let me see if I can do this myself. And my pastrami rub is not as good as their pastrami rub, but they've been in business for over 100 years, and I have not. So I would say I'm doing okay, and this will be fine for your needs. I'm going to list all these ingredients as far as the spices in the description, but I'll kind of talk about them as I put them in. But the exact measurements will be in. But you're going to have a half a cup of salt, kosher salt, and then I'm going to put in my half a cup of brown sugar. And I'm going to get a lid on this. And it's just a great way to mix things. And now I have paprika, and like I said, measurements will be in the description. Ground pepper, whole peppercorns. Let's give that a stir. Shake, 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 shake. This is kind of fun, to be honest with you. There's a little bit more brown sugar because that's part of the pastrami thing, but, a little extra won't hurt you. Ground mustard. Ground coriander. Now, if you're one of those people that coriander or cilantro tastes like soap to you, just leave this one out. And then garlic powder and onion powder. And now I got a nice solid shake on that, and this is rub and ready to be rubbed onto the fish. Now we're going to pack this on. Here's my salmon. Now think about this ahead of time. We are going to have one clean hand and one hand that we touch the fish with. Otherwise, we end up contaminating. So on goes some rub. Rub it around on the fish. You get any of those brown sugar balls, just go ahead and mash them in. And we're looking for pretty good coverage here. Once it's covered, I'm going to just let that shake down onto the bottom and put the fish over on the side. Now here's something to show you. You see that line right there? That's the blood line. So you can, if you want to have it a little less oily, you can cut that out. And especially when there's some fish where you really have to do that, like striped bass is one of those where you really want to get the bloodline out. It removes some of that fishy flavor. But with salmon, you really don't need to do that. It would be an if you want to. And we're going to be flavoring this so heavily that I don't think that's not going to be a major issue. And this ended up being about a cup and a half because it's a half a cup of the salt and the brown sugar, and then the ingredients end up being about a half cup again for the pastrami flavor. So now my hands are clear, so I can really just work this into the fish. Give it another flip. Get another handful of that, put it on top, and we're going to really just kind of rub that in. And now I'm going to take a quick pause and reset because now what we're going to do is we're going to vacuum seal this. I got to set that up. All right, so we got to get this fish into this vacuum bag. I went oversized because I wanted to make sure there was lots of room because we're going to get liquid coming out of this over the next couple of days. So I get the bag open, grab the fish. I'm not going to worry about this excess rub. No big deal. And I want to position it kind of in the middle. Now I'm on. This is going to slide up. I've got it set on dry because it's pretty dry right now. And there she goes. She's sealing up. And just like that, you've got fish that's ready to go into your refrigerator for at least 3 days. I tend to let them sit for about a week, but you need 3 days at least to get the moisture out. All right. After a couple days, when you pull it out, you're going to see all this moisture coming off it. That's all the moisture that's leaving the fish. Now, this one's been in for a week, and it's about ready, but I've got one that I've already done. But let's talk about what you do here. You would cut this off, and you'd give the fish a little rinse to get all this excess brine off. Then pat it dry. And what you end up with is a nice piece of lox like this. Which, if it's skin on, when we're slicing it, you want to slice like this so that you don't get the skin with it. So you're pulling it off the skin. Because I've removed the skin on mine, I can just make thin little cuts. And using the filet knife really works really well for this. So that they're, almost translucent. We're just going to make a couple of nice little cuts here. And depending on which piece of fish you have, it's a natural creature, so there'll be some that are wider and thinner as far as what fillet you have. But just cut, slices that work for you. I feel like Bob Ross, like Happy Little Trees. No, but this is one of my favorite things. I love lox. And you don't have to use your fillet knife. Since I have it out, I find that it does a really good job to make really thin cuts. Like a cheese knife would work really well too. Something that it's not going to, like your normal knife, this is going to grab as you go through it. So you want something like a boning knife or a cheese knife or a fillet knife to make it work really well. Now, the way that I like eating my lox, and there's lots of ways to do it, and you can put them in things, but I love it on a bagel with a little bit of cream cheese. Bagels and schmear. So I'm going to take some lox, and I'm going to get it around here on the bagel. I'm actually going to cut another slice or two. This isn't enough. And that's the nice thing. You can decide how much or how little you want. And it's a lot more reasonable doing it this way as far as expense. Salmon is still an expensive fish at the market. And if you happen to catch one, that's even better. But it's not as expensive as having to pay for someone else to do all of this work for you. Not that it was a lot of work, but you do pay for it. And for me, the bagels, the schmear, the lox, but I also need to have just a little bit of pickled red onion. It's during canning season of this coming year, I'll probably do some recipes on how to preserve things that you've made. And we'll talk about pickled red onions because it's pretty good to have in your fridge. And then I like having some capers. And then just like that, I have a delightful lunch fit for a king. So Steve, I hope you really like this, and I hope you try it at home because, as much fun as it is making it for you, I'd like to have you try it and do it and successfully do it yourself. And for all the rest of you out there, hey, there's a million ways you can do this as long as you have the salt and sugar ratio. You can add in dill, you can add in alcohol, you can add in all kinds of things. Now come up with a flavor that you like. This just happens to be a flavor that I like. So give it a try. Let me know in the comments how it went out, how it worked for you, and let me know what you want me to try next. Now, I'm always looking for new recommendations, requests, and challenges. And you can check me out on my Instagram, on my Instagram, which will be linked in the description, as well as the Facebook page for Dave's Delightful Dishes. And there you'll find a link to Spreadshirt, where you can check out my merchandise, including aprons and stickers and coffee mugs and all kinds of things that you could buy if you like them, and hopefully you will. In which case, thank you very much in advance. Anyhow, give this a try. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you in the next recipe.